Welcome to HD Rare Coins, your ultimate source for rare coins, fascinating history, and the thrill of discovery. From legendary pennies to hidden gems, we explore the world of numismatics one amazing coin at a time. In 1953, the air in America tasted different, rich with possibility, but still heavy with memory. The war had ended less than a decade before, and while the country was no longer bruised by bombs, it still bore the scars of sacrifice. Dwight D. Eisenhower had just become president. Televisions were finding their way into living rooms, broadcasting the birth of a new era, and a young country boy from Kansas had stepped into the Oval Office carrying the hopes of millions. In Denver, a hum echoed through the U.S. Mint, machines spinning with a purpose both practical and symbolic. The copper Lincoln cent, already an icon of American small change, continued its steady march through presses and planchets. But this year, something about the 1953 D penny would be different. Not to the naked eye, not yet. But the years to come would reveal truths that no one at the mint could have predicted. That year, more than 700 million 1-cent coins poured from Denver's presses. They were born into a world of jukeboxes, milkmen, and gas stations where 20 cents still bought a gallon of fuel. These coins slipped into children's pockets and danced across soda counters. They were used to tip waiters, to press into chewing gum machines, and to make exact change for comic books stacked behind dusty windows. And among those hundreds of millions, there were whispers, flaws in the metal, ghosts of design, and the quiet kiss of misalignment that would one day turn simple copper into gold. One such whisper landed in a quiet farmhouse in Idaho. A man named Wallace Brooks was known by neighbors as a quiet, meticulous collector. He'd grown up during the Depression, and though his life had been filled with hardship, he found joy in saving things others ignored. He collected buttons, stamps, and coins, especially pennies. He believed in them. Believed they carried energy. Believed that if a penny could survive circulation, it had stories to tell. That he had dozens of 1953 DS in small paper wrappers, stashed away in an old tobacco tin he inherited from his father. And in 1987, while inspecting one of them under magnification for the first time in years, he saw something odd. The D mint mark was doubled, not slightly, but so boldly that even without a loop, the duplication was visible. The second D sat slightly northeast of the first, faint but undeniable. It turned out to be one of the clearest known examples of a repunched mint mark from Denver in 1953. Only a handful had surfaced until then, and Wallace's specimen. Flawless. He submitted it to PCGS. It came back MS66RD, and later, it would be featured in coin magazines, auction catalogs, and even in an exhibit celebrating post-war minting irregularities. That coin sold for $52,000. But it wasn't the only one. In Florida, a woman named Carla Whitmore found a 1953 D penny wedged into the crack of an old dresser she purchased from a second-hand shop. At first, she ignored it. It was dull, almost blackened from age. But something about the color intrigued her. She dipped it in distilled water, gently brushed away the grime, and then noticed something truly strange. The rim was missing a full crescent. A clipped planchet error, but not just any kind. The clip was clean and deep, resulting in a crescent shape that nearly removed part of Lincoln's name. On top of that, the strike had somehow remained strong, every letter intact, even at the edge. The coin became known among collectors as the Hollow Smile Lincoln. It fetched $38,500 at auction, purchased by a private collector from Japan. That same year, rumors emerged of a 1953 D penny that had been struck on a foreign planchet, likely intended for a silver-colored coin from the Philippines. The resulting coin was light in weight, silvery in tone, and almost ghost-like in its appearance. It should not have existed. And yet, it did. Confirmed, authenticated, and eventually sold in 2019 for a jaw-dropping $96,000. The coin was considered one of the most unusual off-metal errors of the decade, but not every 1953 D penny worth telling about earned its value from an error. Some were simply perfect. The U.S. Mint in Denver had upgraded some of its pressing equipment that year, resulting in a small batch of Lincoln cents that bore unusually sharp detail. Lincoln's bow tie showed intricate folds. The wheat stalks on the reverse carried crisp, clean lines. Even the E pluribus unum motto was so deeply impressed, it looked engraved by hand. Only a few of these perfect coins ever made it to circulation. The rest? Pulled early, preserved, hoarded, waiting. One such coin surfaced at a coin show in Sacramento in 2023 that it was submitted to NGC and received a MS-68 RD grade, an extraordinary level of preservation, untouched by the passage of time. The luster shimmered like fire under glass. The surfaces? Flawless. Zero contact marks. Full strike. That penny, minted for a single cent, later crossed the block at a New York auction house for $115,000. From copper to treasure. That's the legacy of the 1953 D. But its true power lies not in its price, but in its persistence. It reminds us that perfection can still come from repetition. That among hundreds of millions, something truly rare can exist. And that sometimes, the most ordinary objects, small, coppery, and forgotten, can carry within them the heart of a century. On a bitterly cold morning in Pennsylvania, a boy named Theo stood at the edge of his grandfather's barn. He was 10, dressed in an oversized jacket, and holding a rusted metal box he'd dug up near the foundation. The lock was broken, but inside was something that shimmered faintly beneath dust and dirt, an old tin filled with pennies. Most were brown and dull, crusted over from decades in the ground. But one caught the sunlight just right. It gleamed. He ran inside, breathless, and showed his grandfather. The old man took one look and froze. "That's a Denver penny," he said slowly, adjusting his glasses. "I remember when they came out. 1953, that was the year your great-uncle died in Korea. I saved one. Maybe that's it." The coin wasn't just a memento, it was a time capsule. It had survived rain, frost, decades of silence, yet still looked as if it had been struck yesterday. Theo's grandfather contacted a coin dealer in Harrisburg. The man handled the penny with the reverence of a museum curator. After a deep breath, he whispered, "This is one of the cleanest uncirculated 1953 DS I've ever seen." When the penny was graded, it received an MS-67 RD, not the rarest, but still among the top. Still, for Theo, the value wasn't in the number. It was the feeling of holding something that had survived more than half a century, carrying both family memory and national heritage. The coin stayed in the family, never sold, and Theo eventually grew up to become a history teacher. He kept that coin framed on his desk, just below a photo of his grandfather in uniform. Across the country, in San Francisco, a story of obsession was unfolding. Oliver Durant was a private collector, quiet and reclusive, but known in elite numismatic circles for his appetite for flawless cents. He didn't collect gold, or foreign silver, or paper money, just Lincoln cents. But not just any. He chased anomalies, near-perfect grades, and especially one dream: to own a complete registry set of every mintmark, year, and variety of the wheat penny in mint state condition, and he was missing one. In 1953 MS-68 RD, for 20 years, he searched. Coin shows, online auctions, private dealers. He passed up vacations, declined party invites, and poured his soul into the hunt. Then in 2024, a sealed roll of unsearched 1953 D pennies was listed on a private forum. It was authenticated, untampered, mint bright, never touched by human skin since it left the press. Oliver bought it immediately, and when he cracked it open, the light caught one coin in the middle of the stack, a coin so red, so lustrous, so untouched that it stole his breath. He sent it to PCGS with a note, "Please handle carefully. This may be the one." The result, MS-68 RD. Pop 1. None finer. That coin completed his collection. It also redefined him. It became the centerpiece of a feature in a prominent coin journal. When he finally sold the entire registry set 5 years later, the value of the 1953 D alone was appraised at $127,000. It was the emotional and financial crown jewel of a lifelong passion, but not all collectors seek money, some are in it for legacy. In a small church in Missouri, a retired mint worker named Lorraine Atwood shared a different kind of story. She had worked at the Denver Mint in 1953 as one of the first female die inspectors. Her job was to reject any faulty dies before they entered the machines, a task most saw as dull. But Lorraine saw it as sacred. She remembered how quiet the nights were in the minting hall, the rhythmic sound of machines striking copper blank after blank. She said she could feel history being made. Even then, one night, a friend handed her a coin straight from the belt. "Mint fresh," he grinned. "Go ahead, keep it." She had it ever since, kept in an envelope, in her Bible, folded between pages of Proverbs. When her grandson asked her about it one Christmas, she gave it to him. "Someday, it might matter," she said. "Not just for what it's worth, but for where it came from." That coin, submitted to NGC in 2023, received MS 67 plus RD. Lorraine passed away the next year. But her name now lives on a plaque in the ANA Museum beside the coin, with a quote etched beneath it: "She didn't just inspect coins. She preserved stories." And stories are where the 1953 D truly shines, because for every rare grade and dramatic error, there's a quieter power at work. These pennies were part of a country's breath. They helped pay for hot meals, bought wedding rings from 5-and-dime stores, and jingled in the coats of men returning from war and children going to school. The final year before the world changed forever wasn't 2000. It was 1999 that the clocks still ticked on analog dials. Payphones still lined the streets. A gallon of gas cost less than $1.50, and if you listened carefully, you could hear the last whisper of the old century hiding beneath the roar of the new. That was the year fears of the Y2K bug filled television screens. That was the year The Matrix hit theaters, the year Napster hit college campuses, and the year America minted over 5 billion 1-cent coins. That it was also the year the US Mint struck a penny that would, quietly, unexpectedly, become one of the most controversial, valuable, and misunderstood coins of the modern era. The 1999 Lincoln cent wasn't supposed to be remarkable. Its design hadn't changed. The obverse still bore the steady, familiar face of Abraham Lincoln, unchanged since Victor David Brenner first engraved it nearly a century earlier. The reverse still showed the Lincoln Memorial in all its neoclassical glory, a design that had been in use since 1959. The planchet was still copper-plated zinc. The coin was still worth 1 cent, and yet, somewhere between Philadelphia and Denver, somewhere deep inside the heavy dies and deafening presses of the mint, something slipped, something changed. The mint had been preparing for something massive, the 50-state quarters program, set to launch in 1999 and carry through to 2008. It was a monumental shift in American coinage history, and mint engravers, technicians, and machinery were being pushed harder than ever to keep up. Amid all that movement, designs changing, dies being swapped, blanks being loaded, presses running at breakneck speed, a few mistakes slipped through, and those mistakes would go on to define the 1999 penny as a modern-day legend. That in a quiet suburb of Indiana, a teenage coin collector named Ethan Ramirez walked into a local flea market with $5 in his pocket and a beat-up loop in his hand. He wasn't looking for anything in particular. He just liked old coins. But at one booth, a folding table stacked with mismatched jars, he saw a plastic container labeled pennies, $1 per bag. He bought 2 bags. At home, under a desk lamp, Ethan began sorting. Most of the coins were typical, wheat cents, memorials, a few Canadian pieces. But one coin, shiny, untouched, and perfectly struck, looked odd. He leaned in. That it was a 1999 penny, but something was wrong. That it wasn't the design. It was the depth. The details looked unusually sharp, like they had been carved into glass. And when he turned it under the light, the fields, those flat, open spaces between the raised images, shone with a mirror-like polish. The coin looked like a proof. But 1999 proof coins were only struck at the San Francisco Mint, and this one carried a Philadelphia mint mark. His heart pounded. When he sent the coin to PCGS for grading, the results came back with a term he'd never seen before: SMS style strike, mirror fields, matte devices, unofficial origin suspected. Later, experts would come to believe Ethan had discovered one of the elusive specimen strike 1999 pennies, possibly struck as a test piece, or by an employee experimenting with proof-like finished dies during regular circulation runs. Only a handful have ever surfaced that in 2022, that coin sold for $48,000 at a private auction, but that was only the beginning, because there was another, far stranger anomaly lurking in the sea of 1999 pennies. A mistake that shook the foundations of modern minting. It came from a vending machine in Delaware. A woman named Sandra Layton received a penny as change while buying a soda at her local supermarket. She was about to drop it into her purse when she noticed something odd. The coin felt wrong, heavier. She flipped it over, looked again, the date read 1999, but it was struck not on a zinc cent planchet, but on a dime blank. The copper color was missing. The surface shimmered like steel. She took it to her nephew, a chemistry teacher, who confirmed it. The coin was too light to be copper-plated zinc. It was too heavy to be a foreign error. It was, against all logic, a Lincoln cent struck on a dime planchet. The anomaly was real, and collectors, hungry for modern errors, went wild. The penny, graded and slabbed, sold 6 months later for $68,000. The buyer, a Japanese tech entrepreneur building a world-class error coin collection, but even more breathtaking than the dime planchet mistake were the wide AM and close AM variants. To the average person, they looked identical, but to the trained eye, the distance between the A and the M in America on the reverse was the key to a treasure. In most 1999 business strike cents, the AM letters touched or were nearly touching, known as the close AM variety. But a few Philadelphia minted 1999 pennies, through a rare die mix-up, were struck using a reverse die meant for proof coins. These showed a noticeable space between the A and the M, known as the wide AM. That small difference, barely visible without magnification, meant everything. In 2017, a collector named Randall Finn found one while rolling coins for his daughter's school fundraiser. Just before dumping them into a donation jar, something caught his eye. He paused, checked the reverse, and his jaw dropped. He'd found a 1999 wide AM. He sent it to NGC, MS65RD, estimated value, $$12,000, but Randall refused to sell. He had it framed alongside a photo of his daughter holding the coin. "It's more than money now," he told reporters. "It's a reminder that sometimes, the small things, if you look closely, can change your whole story." While the wide AM variety grabbed headlines, it was only one piece of the puzzle. There was still something deeper stirring beneath the surface, something brewing within the community of elite collectors who believed that the 1999 cent, overlooked for years, was about to make its boldest move. One of them was a man named Edward Halloran, a retired aerospace engineer from Arizona who spent his evenings under a magnifying lamp with rows of red copper Lincoln cents glinting in his hands. Edward was no casual collector. He was obsessed with die states, the subtle clues left behind on a coin that tell the story of how far into its life a minting die had gone before retirement. He believed that the 1999 penny held a secret no one had yet confirmed. He was looking for what he called the ghost cent, a theory he developed after studying over 30,000 individual 1999 coins. He claimed a small batch from the Philadelphia Mint had been struck with dies so late in their life cycle, so worn and stressed, that they began leaving behind ghost-like doubling, not from misalignment, but from vibration. Most collectors wrote it off as machine damage, worthless. But Edward noticed a pattern. The doubling wasn't random, it was consistent. Always in the same place. The word Liberty and the date, particularly the 9S, showed shadows under the right conditions. He gathered 5 of the clearest examples, all found in pocket change or rolls, and submitted them together. PCGS graded the cleanest of the batch in MS66RD, and with it came a note, unusual die state, possible late-stage die clash indicators. Within weeks, whispers of the ghost cent spread across collector forums. Suddenly, everyone was hunting. Meanwhile, a teenage YouTuber named Chloe Rivera from Austin, Texas, unknowingly fueled the frenzy. She had a small coin channel where she filmed herself unboxing penny rolls and talking about Lincoln cents like they were celebrities. She was enthusiastic, funny, and surprisingly sharp for her age. One night, during a live stream, she pulled a shiny 1999 penny from a bank roll and gasped, "Guys, is this the wide AM?" The chat exploded. She flipped the coin back and forth, held it to the camera, and then let out a squeal. The next day, she got it graded, MS67RD wide AM, the highest graded example to date. The coin made headlines in the coin collecting world. The video hit 1 million views. She was offered $95,000 for the coin by a private buyer in Dubai. She turned it down. "I'm not ready to let go of this story," she told a coin podcast later that year. "Because this coin didn't just change my YouTube, it made me realize the world is full of small miracles. You just have to pay attention." Stories like Chloe's turned the 1999 penny from a simple collector's curiosity into a cultural moment. Coin shops across the country reported sellouts of unsearched penny rolls. eBay was flooded with possible wide AM listings, most worthless, some real, and a rare few that went on to be authenticated and graded. Then came the moment that changed everything. That a man named Gabriel Sutter, a coin researcher from Ohio, published a full study in The Numismatist linking several proof reverse dies to Philadelphia business strikes in 1999. His research, backed by die markers, plating irregularities, and rim alignment, proved that the 1999 cent was more than a one-off mistake. That it was an accident with intent. That he theorized that the mint, preparing for increased quarter production, may have used proof-style dies from earlier experiments to ease the strain on the equipment. These dies were never meant to touch zinc planchets, and the results were coins that bore the body of circulation strikes, but the soul of proofs. Only a few escaped, and those that did? They became gold. In 2024, one of these coins, verified by 3 experts, graded MS68RD proof reverse, unofficial strike, sold at a Sotheby's auction for a record-breaking $127,000. The coin had come from a widow in Maine who found it in her late husband's pocket change jar, tucked behind a fishing license. She had almost thrown it away, but a friend convinced her to take it to a local coin shop. That one moment changed her life.